Assuming the Rebbe today would tell us, I am no more answering any questions. I am no more leading. I am no more answering any questions. I am sitting locked in my room learning, and forget it, you can't ask me any questions. We will miss a leader. We wouldn't miss the leader. The leader would be there, but we can't get that direct input from the leader. But we would not miss the consciousness which we have. Whatever the Rebbe has taught us until now, all the verbringings and all the sichas, and all the consciousness building, we would have been the same.
Would you feel lost?
Yeah, because of the leadership area. There are two areas in the Rebbe. There is a Rebbe and there is Chossidus. The Rebbe is an independent building force. He builds each one of us who want to expose themselves to his teachings and to his building to stand to whatever degree we would desire on our own feet. And that standing nobody can take away from us. When the previous Rebbe left Russia and there was no connection, virtually a Korah, the Iron Curtain, came down. All the Chassidim that the previous Rebbe have built have taken over the leadership, and they have led underground Russia. Do you know the previous Rebbe left Russia in 1927? The Chassidim, the bulk of the Russian community, left in 1946. Count from 1927 to 1946 and you'll find 19 years of the worst persecution in history. All the underground movements that you hear about Russian and the previous Rebbe's great endeavors in Russia, where everybody fell flat on their faces and all the great leaders ran away, and the previous Rebbe, the only one remained fighting, and he has laid that network of tremendous underground schools of which Rabbi Keson's generation has been educated. That has been laid by him in ground only in the first 7 years of the communist regime, from 1920 to 1927. What happened from 1927 to 1946? Who carried that machine? You know who? The Rebbe wasn't there anymore. The Iron Curtain was mafsik, was dividing between him and his Chassidim. But in hidden underground ways, you have to carry through a note. The Chassidim that he has built carried it. He has built independent forces. Of course, when the Rebbe was there, the Chassidim would be there, obviously. And the Chassidim would ask the Rebbe for leadership. Nothing less than that would they have desired. But what happened if the Rebbe was not there? Here is what happened. In the worst time of history, they have carried it themselves. And the youngest one became suddenly a lion. Because he has implanted in them so much strength, so much independent strength. I can't emphasize enough the word independent strength. Because this is what divides Chabad from the other Hasidic dynasties, even at the time when they were great. In the time of the Alter Rebbe, there was the division that the Alter Rebbe has gone, apart from all his other friends, the students of the Mezritcher Maggid, was precisely in this area. They all said the Tzaddik, the Rebbe, in his greatness and holiness, will carry the Chassidim on his shoulders. Hold on to my girdle was the exception, and I'll carry you with me. Or as has been known throughout history, come to the Rebbe, give him a kvittel, give him a pidyon, give him money to support him. He in turn will carry you with his blessings. And this was genuine and perfectly acceptable for the non-Chabad Chassidim, for the so-called Chassidim of heart. It's a relationship of emotions, a love between the Rebbe and the Chossid. The Rebbe says, my Chossid, I'll carry you anywhere. You're my Chossid, I'm carrying you. The Alter Rebbe says, I want a relationship of mind. I want a relationship of independent intellectual convictions. The Chossid, the Rebbe said, has to stand on his own 2 feet. The Rebbe has to help him, yes. The Rebbe has to guide him. The Rebbe has to build him. But ultimately, the Chossid must stand on his own 2 feet. So hence, there is tremendous difference between the expectation of the Lubavitcher Chossid on the part of the Rebbe and between another Chossid, what his Rebbe expects from him. The other Rebbe expects from the Chossid, be a good Jew, raise your family in a Jewish life, come to me and give me a pidyon, hold yourself at my gartel. Namely, basically, what hold yourself at my gartel? Come in the time of holidays, take shirayim. Shirayim are those remnants of food that the Rebbe starts eating, and the custom was that the custom still is, that they would divide the rest of it among the Hasidim. If you ever go to any of the Hasidic communities in Brooklyn, you might still find it. There's a big, giant piece of fish, or chont, or fruit basket, and the Rebbe takes a little bit, and the Hasidim catch the rest. It's a custom, it's a legitimate custom. Chabad didn't have that custom. It became Polish lately. But it's a legitimate custom. It has been so enacted by the students of the Baal Shem Tov. What was in that custom? I carry you on my shoulders. Here is a physical means of attachment between me and you, and through that go my blessings. Those Chassidim who were catching the apples were not fools. The great Rebbes have encouraged that. It's a physical way of contact. Everything spiritual must have a physical connection. Fine. By Chabad there was no Shirayim. You can't. It never did start there. I don't know. Because Chabad became Peil Chassidim, so they make Shirayim. No, that's nothing.
That's not Shirayim.
Let me carry the subject further. What was by Chabad? The Rebbe wanted the Chossid to be his own man, or his own woman for that matter, to learn, to understand, to break his head, to stand on his own feet, to accomplish tasks, to challenge Edgarim, to challenge challenges, to confront challenges. And this is what the Rebbe wanted. Move, I'll help you. I'm all behind you. I'm walking right behind you, but you move. And if you will, today is the same thing. What does the Rebbe want from us? From each one of us. Go out and spread Yiddishkeit. There is a battle out there. Go and confront it. Don't worry about anything. I'm behind you. I'm giving you all the forces that you need. Don't use your logic. Don't get hung up on your logic. I'm not asking you to use your logic. Your logic is going to stand between you and the task. You have with you much greater forces, much higher forces. Don't get hung up. Move and fly, and you've got infinite forces to overcome any obstacles in your way. The minute you inject your logic, you're forlorn, you're finished. Then you're working on natural businesses. Forget it, you're not carried on supernatural forces. What does the other Rebbe want now from a Chossid? Raise your kids in a good Jewish way, come to the Rebbe and eat Shirayim, put down a few dollars and support the Rebbe's institutions, certainly a good thing, and period. And the Rebbe says, no, go to the college camp, go to Australia, go to China, go to Hawaii, go to Honolulu. Doesn't stop. What does he want from our lives? Why doesn't he leave us peacefully to live our lives? What does he want? And we all are also misnagdim, as we all know. We all are also non-Chabad Sidim. And ultimately, hopefully, our real essence is Chabad Sidim.
What does that mean we're all misnagdim?
We all would like to have a chont on Shabbos and take a nap in the afternoon. We all would like to be concerned with our own family, our own kids, and leave me alone with the world. What do you want from the world?
Why isn't both there and you're a Chabad then?
Why? Because it's easier.
So what's wrong?
Because it's easier.
Chabad negates eating a chont and being with family.
If you celebrate a nice chont with your family, you can't have any guests at your Shabbos table. It's a contradiction. Either you dedicate your like that's right.
They do have.
Yeah, they do, and up to that. My children don't know Yiddish because of the guests in the house. I'll give you the best example. I'd love nothing better than for my kids to speak Yiddish. I spoke with every one of them Yiddish until they came to Cleveland.
It doesn't help.
It does help. I spoke with them only Yiddish. There's only one problem. Yeah, but that's not the only problem. Shabbos, which is the only time that I have to speak with them, there was always English guests at the table. So there we go. They forgot. Yeah, I used to speak Ochanveted in English.
No, that's not so.
I'm still trying to figure out what you're saying, that we're all non-Lubavitcher.
That, all right, forget that comment. That we have traits in that. Let's concentrate.
Why is that? Who said it's
Then
not
you
a
think that the urge is
the urge is
the
that.
human urge to just want to do your own selfish thing.
So human urges are non-Chabad.
Right.
And non-urges are
Right. The urge to do. All right, we'll discuss that some other time. Fine. Keep that question. I don't mean to dodge you. Keep that question. But this evening is devoted to the Rebbe, and I want to concentrate on that point on. What does the Rebbe say to us in essence? He says to you, I've got much greater faith in you, more than you have in yourself. You've got greater forces than you realize. All you have to do is challenge yourself, and you'll bring them out from within you. Try it. You'll like it. Because this is your best. You'll be then at your best. When you will finally challenge yourself, and you say, I don't want to challenge, and it's hard to challenge, and I don't know whether I can challenge. All this is fine. The Rebbe says, please don't make this cheshbenes. Try it. Trust me. You'll like it better than you like yourself now. You'll never like yourself as much as when you challenge yourself. Challenge yourself both on the issue of Ahavas Yisrael in terms of sensitizing yourself. Challenge yourself in terms of putting yourself out for another Jew. Challenge yourself in terms of faith and conviction and hope when you have to confront your personal adversities in life or communal adversities or world adversities. Challenge yourself and you'll find out how much strength there is hidden there which you don't even know yourself. That is what the Rebbe is in essence screaming not only to us, to the whole world. To the Rebbe, the Rebbe is the only Rebbe to him, Chossid and non-Chossid as alike. You know, I don't know which point of the Rebbe to pick up, because there are 1,001 points that you can emphasize. But each one of them stands on its own merit. No Gerer Rebbe says that to him a Gerer Chossid and another Chossid is alike. To him a Gerer Chossid, a Gerer Chossid. And the other one is nicht mein Kind.
Oh, yeah, but the Rebbe feels...
Don't say that. Nicht mein Kind. They went to the Vishnitzer Rebbe with a delegation about Mihu Yehudi, about the question who is a Jew in Israel. Reb Mendel Futter was related to him. And he says, well, I'm more concerned about my daughters not to be taken into the army. Why don't you fight about that? So Reb Mendel says, this has to do with every Jew. So the Vishnitzer Rebbe says, yeah, but these are not meine Kinder. Yeah, and legitimately so. Don't put them down. I'm not saying it negatively. I don't want it to be taken out of context. Right. He is concerned about his community and about his daughters not to go into the army, and he feels he should put in all the forces in there. And the Rebbe also has daughters, and he's got granddaughters, and somehow the Rebbe is concerned about all Jewry. It's a different scope.
Chassidim are special to him too. His own
the Rebbe's Chassidim are special to him?
Well,
I have never heard that. The closer you are, the less special you are.
Does he expect more of you?
In that kind, we're very special. 100%. He expects more from us.
Okay, well, that in itself shows
Right. You know who is going to get the answer from the Rebbe? If I write a personal letter and you write a personal letter, you know who's going to get it first? One guess.
Me.
Right. Do you know why? Because from me he expects more. Do you know who is going to get the smile from the Rebbe? The one who is not as or thinks he is not as, or feels he is not as, or whoever. To his closer chevra, smile like a dog. Smile. Go and do your thing. What kind of smiles? Smile.
But that's a special. But that makes
that. But you know how special that is. The specialty is something which the Rebbe tells you. Look, act your age. You don't need any recognition. Those who need recognition, I'll give them recognition. You give them recognition too. I have to give recognition. You're going to cry me like a child. You want attention. Go and do your work. There's a fire burning there. You're a soldier in the army. What are you draining a cup? He expects more, and legitimately so. He doesn't expect from somebody who can't give. And the Rebbe is the last one to make a person feel bad. But he's a commander-in-chief of an army of forces that has to battle the spiritual darkness of the world. He knows exactly what each one of his soldiers can do and cannot do. He knows exactly which soldier knows that he is a soldier and which soldier doesn't know that he is a soldier. And he delegates each one exactly in line to their capabilities. He's a commander-in-chief sitting there in a chair in 770 Eastern Parkway, commanding the entire world. And in recent years, commanding the entire non-Jewish world. He storms away about what the non-Jewish world should do. Position after position after position in everything that you want to care for. The Gerer Rebbe doesn't take positions. The Gerer Rebbe will take a position in the politics of Israel. He's a member of the Aguda political organization, and he will dictate how much money they should request from begging government for the schools. In Israel, legitimately so. The Vishnitzer Rebbe wouldn't dictate it.
Why isn't it an Avlon, the part of the Vishnitzer Rebbe that doesn't feel that every Jew is his responsibility?
Why don't you feel that the entire world is your responsibility?
I'm not a tzaddik.
And he is not that kind of a tzaddik on the Lubavitcher Rebbe's level. It's not an Avla.
Tzaddik means that you feel that every Jew
there are
levels.
levels of leadership. One is the leader of a city, the other one is the leader of a country, the other one is the leader of a world. And you're asking, why doesn't the captain of a section feel the responsibility for the whole world? Because that's not within him. He doesn't have the capacity, it's not his task, it's not his job. And the Rebbe obviously has that test, has that scope, has that capability, has that job. The proof is he builds in Honolulu as much as he builds in South Africa. And he works behind the Iron Curtain as much as he works in Australia. And he's dominating Morocco as much as he dominates Cleveland. And from Los Angeles to Florida, he's all over the place. And all over the place, one person. And every question goes to him personally. There's no secretaries and there's no chain of command. There is nothing. It's humanly impossible. When you ask a question, you, Malia, one of hundreds of thousands of people who know the Rebbe, asks a question about something seemingly insignificant, the Rebbe finds somehow has time. What's coming off here? Hundreds of thousands of people rely on him on matters of life and death. People behind the Iron Curtain rely on him on his very life. People on an operating table, God forbid, are bombarding him with settling and with notes. Constantly, and he has to answer yes or no. Organizations throughout are hanging the Rebbe, what should I do in this decision or in that decision? And then comes Malia and says, well, Rebbe, should I go to Cleveland? Should I move this? Should I marry my daughter? And finally the Rebbe finds the time for her. How is it possible? It's not humanly possible. How could you expect that from a Vision Rebbe? What do you want? It's not a put down to a Vision Rebbe.
So
it's an expression.
Where does the Lubavitch Rebbe get their non-conformist viewpoint? They all start out from the same Baal Shem Tov, who had all these Hasidim, and yet you have one sect of Hasidim.
Non-conformist viewpoints.
Where do they get their?
They are the Moshe Rabbeinu of the generation. Where did Moshe Rabbeinu get it?
Why aren't the other Rebbes seeing the true light?
Why? That's a separate question.
I mean, if it's recognize that they are not the nation of being sort of, they themselves will approach the Rebbe when they have their difficulties.
Will they? Some will, some will not.
Well, you've had in the generations, the
Yeah,
Gerer Rebbe
sure.
was very close with Chabad.
Some will and some will not.
Belzer Rebbe was very close to Chabad.
Close to Chabad is one thing, approach the Rebbe with the Chabad, but some will, some don't, I don't know.
If they recognize.
If they recognize, that's the question, if they recognize. But I know one thing, none of them says that he is Mashiach. About no Rebbe do the Chassidim say that he is Mashiach. And even though, admittedly, we don't know what Mashiach is. And when we speak, we want Mashiach now, it's the Rebbe speaking from our mouth. Let's face it, let's accept it, we know about Mashiach as much as the Gerer Chossid knows. It's the Rebbe speaking from our children's mouth, but the Rebbe has moved the whole world screaming, we want Mashiach now. Who obviously believes in Mashiach? Why don't they make their kids scream about Mashiach?
Yeah. Well, there came two groups of Tel guys into my house. And they were singing We Want Mashiach.
But I asked my cousin in Cleveland Heights, what kind of songs did they sing We Want Mashiach? Oh no, they wouldn't sing such songs by us.
So I said to them, where are you from? So they said, we're from Tel. I said, and you're singing We Want Mashiach now? And they said, we believe in Mashiach too. And then one of them was very cheeky and said, we do a very good PR for you.
Yeah, he said and tells they have a lot
Why
of
why don't the other Rebbes teach their children, their young children, their Tzivos Hashem about Mashiach? Not that the Lubavitch Rebbe is Mashiach. Simply, we want Mashiach now.
Because it's very hard. What do you do? My 3-year-old asks me, where does Mashiach live? I don't know how to answer these questions.
And yet, your little 3-year-old thinks we want Mashiach now.
But I can understand why people don't want to give their little kids such a
Because
concept.
they don't have that emunah in Mashiach.
Okay.
Because to them Mashiach is a highfalutin, philosophical, blown out, not practical daily concept.
Already, because they don't have the understanding enough. So how can
you said it, I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, but what do I tell my son?
You tell your son that there's a Lubavitch Rebbe in this world, and he tells you to sing, we want Mashiach now.
Yeah, but he sings it, but he wants to know where he lives.
Get to learn what Chassidus says about Mashiach, get to understand what Mashiach is, and teach your son. In short, and let's sum all this up, we've got the greatest Rebbe that the world has ever created, not only because he is a Chabad Rebbe, but because we live in the generation which is much lower than the Alter Rebbe's generation, away from Matan Torah so many more years. As the generations go away from the day that the Torah was given, they become lower. And as we know that the lower the generation, the greater the leader. Or in different words, in Hasidic terminology, all the Rebbes were the same. It is just a different manifestation. Not that this Rebbe is greater. The Alter Rebbe was as great and the previous Rebbe was as great, but this generation needs more revelation of greatness in one way. In another way, as the Rebbe explains, that the previous Rebbe has been fulfilling his father's place, meaning he has filled out everything his father has done and then added his own. We understand the same thing about this Rebbe, that he has fulfilled everything the previous Rebbe has had, and in him accumulated were 6 and 7 and 8 generations of Rebbes previously, and has carried it further. Not to mention the technical factor, that never in history has one man commended so much in his technical outage. Today we've got a world of telephone and television and radio and newspapers, and when the Rebbe says one word, it spreads throughout the world immediately. Never has one man carried so much. And we live in this very generation, and we've got all the forces and abilities that the Rebbe is bestowing upon us, and every one of us can become a lamppost and a light and a giant of spirit and of courage and of accomplishments and achievements. And we ourselves would feel better then. And it is hard in the beginning because we don't believe ourselves in our own forces. We don't know what to do with our logic. Our logic in simple words stands between us and the Rebbe. Our perception of our own limitations and abilities doesn't allow us, doesn't permit us to get on this wavelength and swim all the way to the shore with these mighty forces. And all we have to do is put this aside, raise ourselves above it, realize that we've got here a giant of forces operating, and we have the privilege of being his soldiers, of being closely associated, not those who receive from the back, as we learned in Tanya, not those who don't know that they are receiving. We know that we are receiving, even though we know a little, and there is more to know, and even more to know, and there's no end to how much a Chossid can know in the revealed level. But still, we are already in the track that way. Cash in on it. And this Yud Aleph Nissan, let's sing and dance and celebrate and say l'chaim. And you women, send all your husbands to the Rebbe to celebrate with him. There is a time when the Rebbe goes out to celebrate his celebration with his children, and all Chassidim are his children. And he simply said, "It's my personal holiday, yet I will celebrate it together with my children." Which child at that moment would think of not being there?
I thought you were going to say all you women go along with
I can't say that because it's Pesach.
No.
And excuses of I'm busy are good when we want them. Excuses of I don't have the money to fly are good when we want them. If we really feel the importance, if there is $10,000 that everybody would find time and everybody would find money, even though he doesn't have it suddenly, and being with the Rebbe